Hello 大家，歡迎收睇 HSBC Live Well Series 第8集。咁今日咧，我請咗一位特別嘉賓陪我一齊做運動嘅。呢位特別嘉賓係香港7人欖球成員靚女 Chloe Chan。歡迎！
大家好，
係。咁今日咧 ，Chloe 你會做啲咩啊？
今日我會陪 Steph 做啲伸展運動，同埋會分享下我嘅日常生活。
好，咁我哋一齊開始啦。Okay, so the first exercise for today is going to be the frog stretch or froggers. What we're going to do is we're going to open our knees up as wide as we can go and put our elbows or hands down on the mat. So to start with, let's start with hands on the mat. When you open your knees wide, I just want you to go as far as you can go. Now, if this is your limit, you stay here. I want your toes to point outwards and your ankles to be in line with your knees. So if you are more flexible, you start to push open a little wider. Side profile, I know you might not be able to see me right now, but I want you to think of your hips being in line with your knees rather than sitting back, okay? So stay upright, and if you have space here, we're just gonna slowly come down to the bottom. So for today, as always with mobility, it's not just static holds, not just static stretches. So for the first part, we are actually lengthening, trying to breathe into the stretch before we add the active component. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you once, and then the second rep I'm actually gonna do with Chloe. So Chloe gets the one-on-one attention. There's no escape, my eyes are on her. So on this, we're gonna hold for 2 minutes. As we hold this for 2 minutes, I just want you to sink your body down closer to the floor. Keep your chest upright and your spine long. You don't have to look up here. You can look straight down at your hands, just so remember you keep your head in line with the rest of your spine. And then from there, you engage your stomach by drawing your belly button towards your spine and keeping your hips in a neutral position. Now, I always like to open up with quotes. So my quote for today is, "Life is like riding a bicycle. In order to find balance, you actually need to keep moving." And I can't remember whose quote that is, but I remember seeing it on the internet once and I just loved it. It was awesome. It is true, because in terms of balance, there's always that constant tug. Balance doesn't mean you're in a static position. It is a constant toy of pulling things left, right, and center. And when we think about that holistic well-being approach, we think about that web of different components that add up. So when you think about the physical, the mental, the emotional, financial, relationships, whatever it is, there's so many different things that often you have to sacrifice things in order to excel in something else. So the constant play between the different components is what we're talking about. When you find balance, you have to give an effort into every single thing, and you can't neglect one, otherwise that starts to fall further down the ladder. This time we're gonna introduce the Windshield Wipers just to slowly rotate through the joint again. Slowly turn the right leg up and then drop the right hip down. So it's like we're pushing our hip into the floor, and then we come back up, change to the other side. I'm really sorry if I kick you. Good, hold, and come back up. We're just gonna do 3 each side. Make sure you stay still through the upper body, and if you want to, you can actually come up onto your hands. We'll come up onto our hands now just to give us a little bit more space. Your hip might not touch the floor, but you'll find your hip will open up a bit more. Try and touch your toes to the floor, push your left hip down. Good, come back up one last time on each side. Nice. So Chloe's actually got really good hips. She lied to me when she said she had tight hips. And good, but also she's an athlete, so I don't expect anything less. So from here, to come out of the position, I'm gonna slowly bring my toes together and then just slide one knee in and then slide the other knee in. And then from there, just shake it out a little bit. Okay, so the second exercise we're gonna go into now is gonna be our hip cars. So it's a controlled articular rotation. For this one, we're gonna stay on all fours. So we're both gonna just bring our towels to the top of our mat because you might be dripping sweat with this one. Okay, so for our hip cars now, we're gonna start off on all fours. And what I'm gonna do is I'm only gonna break this movement down into 2 movements rather than do the whole thing today, okay? So we wanna have a nice stable base. Engage the core by drawing the belly into the spine and lock everything in place, so press your hands into the floor. Now from here, my right knee is gonna be on the floor and my right toes are tucked under. Meanwhile, my left leg is gonna come off the floor. I'm gonna try and kick my bum with my left heel. So you really wanna kick it in, use your hamstring. And then without moving the lower spine, we wanna draw the knee up in towards the chest without rounding in. So we hold our hip flexion to begin with.
And then from there, we're gonna go out by moving your entire leg out. Keep the height of the hip and you hold. Now, as mentioned, we're not gonna go through the full rep today, but I want to teach you a little bit more about the anatomy of the hip. So we're going from flexion into abduction. Now, from this position, I have a surprise, Chloe. We're gonna straighten out your left leg now. Hold that position there. Lock your knee. Push through the floor. Hold it there for 10, 9, 8, 7, lift it up, 6, 5, squeeze the outer hip, 4, 3, 2, and 1. From there, bend, slowly bring it back in, and down. Reset. As I said, the second rep is Chloe's turn. So from there, I'm gonna actually take you into watching Chloe. I am making sure her hips do not move. She's gonna drive, once again, knee in towards her chest. Other leg. So same one before we change to the other side. So as her left knee comes in, hold. Now she's gonna draw out. I'm making sure her hips do not move. As she opens up, this is her limit, because if she goes further, try and go further. See how her hip opens up? She can go up, but that's not right. Push the pelvis bone back down. Now, straighten your leg out, try and kick my mat. Go more to the side, that way. Yep. Now pull your toes up towards your face, hold it there. I want that cramp, and if it cramps, you hold it and you push through it. Pull it towards your face, pull it towards your face. Now lift it up higher for 5, 4, don't lean into me, 3, lift it up, 2, lock your knee, lock your knee, lock your knee. Good, bend the knee, bring it into your chest, and down, and relax. All right, good news, we've got the other side. So, right knee in towards your chest, plant the hands down, knee comes up, knee comes out, we hold. Then from there, try and kick my head, go. Now pull it towards your head, good. Lift it up, hold for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, hold it, 9, kick your face and pull your right hip back up to your face, good. And bend your knee, come in, and down. Second rep, all you again, ready to go. 3, 2, 1, into your chest, out. She's leaning into me, so push her away. Find your balance, pull this hip back down this way, good. Now bend your knee. Yeah, bend your knee. That's much harder now. So I'm holding her hips in place, knee comes up to her chest, knee comes out. Now her range is much less. She straightens her leg out, it might be a lot less, but this is where you wanna be. Now hold. Straighten the leg, straighten the leg, straighten the leg for 5, 4, higher. Lock your knee, lock your knee, lock your knee. I promise there's only 2 more seconds, 1 more. Bend your knee, come into your chest, chest, and then back down. Good work, Chloe. So what happens when you cheat is that gets a lot harder, okay, when you do it properly. So don't cheat, guys, but understandably it's your first time doing it. So awesome work. So if you're doing this at home and you don't have someone watching out for you, one, I would say go up against the wall. So what Chloe could do right there is put her left hip onto the wall straight away, and that wall becomes that person pushing her into place. If you're doing it at home, I wouldn't say do any more than 3 on your first go. I personally like to do at least 2 every single day, but you can build up to 5 if you have the tolerance. But I would say minimum 1 a day. Start with that and then build your tolerance from there. Okay, so we're gonna move on to our next exercise now, and the last one is for our lower back. It is a nice passive stretch, but there are active components to it. You ready?
Yep.
Okay, so we're just moving the towel out in front of us. We're gonna stay seated on our bum this time. We'll start with our left leg out first. Now, I've touched upon this stretch before in one of the previous episodes, but I'm gonna recap again, and this time with Chloe. We're both gonna do it together. And I'm just gonna introduce some of the chatting here, just because we're here. So from here, the first thing you want to set up is your feet. Make sure your hips are actually both on the ground. Now, if you are really, really tight and you can't, you can sit on something. So you can put a cushion underneath your bum, a book, a block, whatever you have. If not, you can try and find your seated position with your hips staying square. So I like to find my hips here by putting my hands onto my hips, and I keep them right in front of me. Perfect if you have a mirror in front of you, but if you don't, doesn't matter. Just trying to gauge where you are in space. Then from here, what we want to look to do now, I want to reach my palm. So my left palm is going to face up.
Yep.
And depending on your flexibility, let's start by dropping our elbow into our thigh. Nice. So once you are there now, if that is enough for you, you stay here and you can hold onto your calf. If you can go further, you can actually come forward and put it right under your ankle, or you can even hold onto the outside of your foot. But again, it really depends on your flexibility. So wherever you are, so you can see there that Chloe wants to try this. I'm gonna stay with Chloe. So she's gonna try it here first. Hug the elbow towards the ground. So this is now an anchor. Now the left hand, bring it behind your lower back. So you can see how our shoulders are rounded in to begin with.
Yeah.
And now I wanna actually peel the chest open and just look up to the right-hand side. So you wanna draw your belly in, turn your torso, and the more you turn and reach, the more you feel this stretch come through the right lower back area, okay?
Yeah, you can definitely feel that.
So I'm gonna help Chloe out in her posture right here, but I'm also gonna ask her a few questions while we do it. So while she's in this position, you're gonna tell me a little bit more about how you find balance in your everyday life. So I think that being an athlete, obviously you have to dedicate a lot of your time, full-time training. Recovery and all of that is just as important, but outside of that, you've got study, you've got relationships. How do you manage that?
Well, I haven't really been an elite athlete for a long time, but I've definitely picked up some tips. So I like to have a weekly schedule. So we're basically training 4 times a week, and our days off are Wednesdays. So I like to spend my Wednesdays and weekends trying to switch off from rugby, just because having that time off is really just so I'm not like all rugbyed out during the weekends and Wednesdays. And I like to spend my time with my family, and it's quite good actually because my family is very sporty as well. So on the weekends we like to play tennis, golf, So Sunday is a big family day for us. We usually wake up, have like a family breakfast together, and then we'll either play tennis or golf. And then during days off on Wednesdays, our team likes to do socials together.
Oh, nice.
So every few weeks we'll do like a barbecue together, or we'll go to the beach. Oh, I can really feel that in my lower back.
I was like, she's talking, but actually we're slowly pulling her into position.
And so we like to hang out outside of rugby as well, and I think that's quite good for our team because we kind of build that support. And
changing sides.
We build like support, and it's quite natural for us to hang out in and out of rugby as well. So
do you find that not thinking about rugby helps you switch off?
Oh, for sure, yeah. It's quite hard as well because I haven't really done like the whole elite athlete thing, and then jumping straight into it, it's quite a lot of like analysis in rugby. And it's just like a lot in the beginning. So I think having those days off is really good, just not to think about rugby at all.
I think just from experience, I remember being in it.
I was going to say, you probably know.
I think that that was the big thing for me. Switching off was a really, really important part, just switching off from the actual subject itself. It didn't mean that I didn't like it, but I had to get away from rugby in order to realize how much I loved it. And when you have to do analysis, when you train multiple times a day, it takes a toll on you because mentally you have to stay switched on the entire time. And when you don't have those off days, I think sometimes people think that actually you love rugby, you're getting paid to do it, it's the best thing ever. But like everything, balance is so important, right? You need to actually be able to have alternatives to be able to turn to, like your family, for example. What about study?
So I am studying physiotherapy, and I've got 1 more year of uni. And I just always remember Ian, our coach, always says, like having something outside of rugby is always good.
When you think that you're falling out of balance, what are your tips in terms of what you can provide to the audience?
I think for me, just like to have a weekly plan. And make sure you know like how to switch off and when to switch back on is quite important. And having like a weekly schedule. I always have like a notebook writing down, well, I have my training schedule obviously, but on my days off, like what I want to do, and make sure I do have that time off. Just to like go for coffee shops with some friends, or like getting my nails done with the girls. Just like, I think having that switching off phase is very important since I joined this team. Because in the beginning, like I really just didn't. I just jumped straight into it, and it was quite difficult because I was all rugby.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Thank you.
So sweaty. Oh my God.
Yeah, I was gonna say, this is how sweaty you should be by the end of the session, because mobility is not easy, guys.
Yeah.
But that brings us actually to the end of today, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your stories on how to keep balance and all of that, and it's really nice to hear that from a very young athlete who's the future of our Hong Kong rugby as well. So thanks for joining us. Everyone at home enjoyed Chloe on the show today. I hope you learned a couple of things about balance. Everyone has their own stories to tell. It's just a matter of figuring out what works best for you. 咁希望大家除咗喺屋企自己喺度做運動嘅話咧，你可以鼓勵下身邊嗰啲人一齊做啊。
Yeah， 我下一個 family day 一定會教下爹哋媽咪做。
哦 ，Yeah， 我想睇翻呢啲喎，影翻啲片俾我睇啊。咁下一集咧又請咗一個靚仔哥哥一齊嚟做運動，記住收睇啊嚇。拜拜。